Right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the 105th episode of the Online Tennis Podcast. Today, we're with Damian Kust, our man from the Challenger Tour. He is here to talk dark horses at the US Open, not the draw. We don't care if Alcaraz is going to win. We don't care if Djokovic is going to win. We want to know who is a really dark horse, right? So we're talking unseeded players who have a good chance of getting to the fourth round. The qualifiers are now set in the draw. Damien will have a very good idea of those qualifiers and other kind of floaters in the pack. Damien, how are you first?
Fine, excited to talk about this. I honestly feel like this draw is not exactly welcoming to these sort of ideas. But then again, I'm pretty sure we'll find some players here, and I've
Yep.
already come up with a few. Maybe you're gonna suggest something, maybe there's something that we'll just suddenly think of. Yeah, I just hope there's going to be a lot of upsets because that's what I like.
Well, as I say, unseeded has to have a chance of getting to the fourth round. It's a pretty large amount of players, right? I mean, you've still got 96 players to pick from. Damien, let's hear your first. You were like, as soon as I was talking before we started recording, you were like, there's one I definitely have to pick. Go on, who have
Yes.
you got?
Absolutely. I mean, there's definitely one that I have in mind. I don't think he's like the number one contender to make the second week. In fact, I would say that it's pretty likely that he even falls in the first round. But I think he has a very good matchup against the seeds near him. And in general, I think it's worth about talk. It's just worth to talk about Jakob Mensik.
Jakob Mensik. There we go. First name on the board. Go on. Tell me about. I know he's a 17-year-old prodigy, but honestly, Damien, I'll probably know as much as the viewer. So tell us all about him.
Yeah, he made the finals at the Australian Open last year in juniors, of course, and you guys maybe might remember this because he was cramping so hard deep in the third set against Bruno Kuzuhara, and he actually had to be taken off the court in a wheelchair. He wasn't at the trophy ceremony; it was just Kuzuhara because
Jesus.
they just couldn't get him back there. And yeah, it was just so wild. But even back then, I remember thinking that he had a lot more talent than Kuzuhara, which I think is definitely, at least in this case, it seems like this has worked out. When you have two juniors and one of them, even though Kuzuhara won the match, just seems like the much stronger prospect. It seems like this is actually going to be the case as well. People used to compare him to Hubert Hurkacz at first,
Okay.
because he kind of just has a similar body type, similar physique. He had a fantastic serve already back then. As you said, he's 17 now, so he was 16 in that Australian Open final. He very clearly, though, he is a lot more aggressive as well. Like he can actually use that physicality to his advantage in terms of just sheer power as well. And this year, honestly, he's just had an incredible rise, just very swiftly transformed it onto the Challenger Tour. He already has a title there in Prague on clay. He can play everywhere in terms of the surfaces. Just such an easy player to see why he's going to be good. Like in terms of just the stupid power, the fantastic serve.
For those who can't see it, we've got Gregor Barrera in the first round, who's obviously not a given, but he's got a chance. Lorenzo Musetti again, that's it's decent on a hard court. There's a chance, and Taylor Fritz hasn't had the best slam year. I mean, last year even you look at him getting knocked out to Brandon Holt in the first round. I mean, maybe a bit of nerves here he needs to resolve. There's a chance for sure. So
I
that's
mostly just
big
like his
name.
matchup with Musetti.
Yeah,
I just feel like if he came out and played his game, I know Musetti has gotten so much more consistent and like across all surfaces as well. His last like 9 events or something, he's won 2 matches every time, unless he played Daniel Medvedev
yeah.
in the second round. So I just feel like still, if Menchik just serves out of his mind, plays like he did in the qualifying as well, because that was one of the toughest sections possible.
Yeah,
He had to beat Fonini, he had to beat Ridi, and he had to beat.
yeah.
Of course, I'm forgetting the third round. He beat Zdenek Kolář, which was significantly easier. But like that little section of players where there was Ridi, Cobolli, Menchik, and Fonini, that seemed like a nightmare. And Menchik was the one to emerge out of that, and he was
Yeah.
also very mature in beating Kolář. Like this seemed like it seemed like he's a huge favorite at this point, but at the same time you still need to win that final round. Yeah, I think he's clearly just one of these guys who won't be playing Grand Slam qualifying for that much longer.
Yeah, you heard it here first. Stupid power from Mensik. second name for me, Damien. Who else have you got on your mind?
This is maybe a second week contender, and this is a wild card, not a qualifier. So Alex Michelsen, he was also a very good junior, of course, but like no one really thought that he was going to be 2023's version of Ben Shelton, but apparently he is. Of course, he Michelsen was just about to go to college, not actually after 1 year of being in college. He was supposed to go to University of Georgia, I think, but then he decided to withdraw just because he's so close to the top 100 and like he's so good in the pros already. The progress that he's made over the past like half a year is just incredible. Very complete game too. Some people say that he like lacks a tiny bit of power or something. I don't, maybe, but it's not like he cannot unleash on a shot, and the backhand down the line is just beautiful. Some people say that maybe he's just a bit like heavy-footed, but his movement is definitely efficient, if maybe not the most stylish looking. Yeah, obviously he's already a main tour finalist as well, improving the serve too, and he is not as marketable, but like Shelton did pretty much this in 2022. Being a young American with basically no ranking and then reaching the top 100 at the end of the year. Michelsen is on track to do that as well. And playing Ramos Vignolas in the first round, I think that's just such a wonderful opportunity. The Spaniard has not won a match on hard courts this year. And then Jari or Vanache, I think this is super winnable for him too. It seems to me like this is maybe just a bit of a gut feeling because, well, he hasn't really played all that much yet, but I think he's going to be pretty decent against all of these big servers and like just players who should be outplaying off the ground, but at the same time, of course, they have the huge weaponry. And then the Minor in the third round, that's the toughest opponent that he could face. But
Of
I
course,
could
yeah.
actually see Alex Michelsen making the second week. I don't think it's out of the question.
Okay, so Mickelson so far is the second player. Have you got a third player in mind? Do you want me to throw one in the ring?
I think like a very common selection. This is not really something that like catches my attention instantly, but I think a lot of people will think this, and Matteo Berrettini probably has to be
Yeah,
involved there, right?
yeah, yeah. Fair. How dark a horse is Berrettini? He's pretty dark, right? But
Yeah, I mean, I know what you mean. He is like 36th in the rankings, so he basically missed out on a seeding just barely. His Canada and Cincinnati starts like they weren't as good as Wimbledon, but they still were pretty okay. He beat Barrera, I think, and then lost to Sinner and Felix.
yeah,
Um, he has a pretty tough draw, but like if he beats Humbert in the opening round, by the way, one of the best matches of the round probably, then he has to face Schwartzman, Rinderknecht. That he's the favorite there, like hands down. And I just think that Rublev is very beatable in this section. Like Rublev, if he has to play Ruusuvuori, Monfils, and Berrettini in a row, like that would be just very very hard to do and pull off. So yeah, that's basically why I'm sort of thinking of Berrettini.
he has been putting some sort of form together. Like it's everything I've seen from him's not bad. Maybe he's missing a step every so often, but the serve's popping, and Humber's obviously always beatable. Just depends what you get on the day. Yeah, I like the pick there, Damien. But Berrettini isn't quite as obscure as I was hoping. I was hoping for some juicy knowledge here. Is there anybody else you could pick that is a little bit less obvious? Shoot this down and I'll just remove it if you're like, no way. But Dominic Stricker, has he got a chance?
Yeah, I was mostly thinking of like maybe Raonic doing this though in this section. But yeah, both for I think for Tsitsipas, both of them are very tough matchups potentially. Stricker plays Popyrin in the first round. He has beaten him at Wimbledon. Popyrin since he won Umag and he also had that quarterfinal run in Cincinnati. But I still don't think that Popyrin has made like a massive leap in terms of his level. So for me, Stricker Popyrin is again a 50-50, just like it was at Wimbledon. I am definitely very impressed with like the increased maturity that Stricker is presenting, and a lot of that was visible in the qualifying too. He also had one of the toughest paths, having to beat Galarno, Yamas Ruiz. If it was actually Luca Nardi in the third round, this very much could have like rivaled the toughest qualifying path, but it was Tirante. I still think he's like an obvious top 50 player in the future. I don't know if he's going to stay there for a long time, but I think there must be a year where Dominic Stricker just peaks and gets there. Yeah, of the two, I think I actually am thinking of Raonic more. He has to play Tsitsipas first, which is not
Yeah.
not great. But in 2020, he beat him twice, not losing a set. Obviously, a very different moment in his career. He had like a resurgent year. I just feel like for Raonic, it is right now like still very much possible to peak for at least one match. I don't know if it's possible for him to maintain like a solid level for 4 or 5 matches. But if he gets through Tsitsipas, I think this would be a very open section for him. And yeah, Raonic Stricker in the second round, if we actually get this, I think that would be pretty even.
It's just a section of the draw. So we'll say Stricker slash Raonic, but it's a section of the draw where big serving could get you through,
Yeah,
right? Because I mean, you've got loads of big servers there. Whoever serves the biggest is probably going to be the guy who gets through. So it's definitely open to a little bit of fluctuation. And Raonic, I mean, Raonic was fine at Wimbledon. He did not play badly at all, so he could totally win that first round. I was pretty impressed with him, Damien. So we'll see how he does. And I want Stricker to do well because of the qualifier. Obviously, I like that story. And I've always liked Stricker's game. It just feels like he's been a bit unbridled. He's never really put it all together for the duration of several matches.
yeah.
So as you say, he's had a clean run at qualifying. Stricker slash Raonic is the fourth pick. Damien, have you got a fifth dark horse that we can talk about to round off our list in fairly short time?
Yeah, I've got two American guys here. One of them is JJ Wolf, and the other one is Ben Shelton.
Right. Okay. So you weren't feeling Jerry Lehechka.
I just think that Shelton has finally gotten something together the last two events. I don't know if it's going to be enough, but like Kachin is a must win for him. Again, he's been so off that I'm not really sure he's going to do it, but he needs to win matches like this. And then against Bublik team, I would really like his chances. And yeah, I just think that if Rune is not 100%, he probably loses to Lehechka or Shelton. So that would give a great chance to either guy. And yeah, with Rude, I think it's fairly obvious that if he is going to play, just a player who can potentially redline, he could lose, and it could be both Wolf and Zhang. I think Wolf and Zhang are actually both fairly similar with just huge games but lacking shot selection. And I just feel like Wolf is maybe a little bit more stable, so that's why I think he might win round one, and I think he'd be a great test for Rude. And then if he plays Fucsovics or Korda, he would have a chance in that one as well. I don't think he
Yeah.
would be favored, but yeah. So that was what I was thinking of basically.
It's tough for me to back that Wolf sentiment. I've been pretty on
Okay.
board for most of them, Damien, but I'm not sure. I think Rude steps up. Honestly, he's not really shown any signs of letting up at most of the slams he's played, right? And Wolf, I don't know. There's nothing that screamed, "Oh, you're going to beat top 10 players regularly." Wolf, do you know what I mean? I'm not sure, but I can definitely back the Shelton vote. Like, I think people are
Mhm.
writing him off because he's been in such poor form recently. But you're right, a couple of good matches in a row, and he's shown he can do it recently. And absolutely, Ben Shelton takes off. He's got a big enough game for it for sure. And against, again, Bublik, big server, and maybe a hole in Runa's part of the draw. I feel less confident in Runa than I do Rude. So I'm pretty pro Shelton there. But I've put Wolf Shelton as a split
Okay.
again. Damien.
Did you have any other players in mind?
I mean, that's a lovely five, to be fair, Damien. I will tell you the one other player I
Mm-hmm.
had down was Max Purcell, just in case Medvedev is totally off. And it's the kind of game that is going to be quite tricky for Medvedev. That's the thing. It's not the best game for him to play against.
I get what you mean. Yeah, slice, and also serve and volleying, like the
Yeah,
two things that have been giving Medvedev a lot of issues with the returning position and with the forehand technique.
yeah,
Maybe it's possible. I just sort of maybe feel about this the way you felt about Rude. Like I just feel like Medvedev steps up for the U.S. Open. I don't know if he beats like I don't know Hurkacz, for example, who, by the way, if we were talking about like seeded dark horses like Hurkacz, Paul, these would have been my ones. So I think that maybe Hurkacz plays Medvedev in the quarters, let's say. I'm not sure he would win there, but like that would already be stepping up in I think. And yeah, I just feel like even if Purcell is not a great matchup. Also, yeah, I think it's just a shame that we didn't have any like more outfield picks, right? But
No,
I
they're
think
good. They're good.
that also comes from the fact that a lot of the players that I think could have been picks like this in this draw, they kind of lost in the qualifying. Like Shang lost to Virtanen
Yeah,
unexpectedly, Mahach lost to Goyo.
yeah,
There was also Kazo, right, losing to Travaglia in the final qualies round. Like, I feel like all of these guys could have been, just huge dark horses in a good section. They just didn't actually come through. So I think that
yeah.
plays a part in it. And by the way, who's Goyo playing in the second round? Maybe we could have had Goyo
So
there.
I actually had Goyo down as a kind of maybe, but I know how he's playing Delian obviously, and then he's got Ogiel Yassim in the second round. So obviously he's still not proven he's totally back to normal. I would say there's definitely upset ability there, but I didn't have him down just because I thought 2 rounds and that's about it. I really don't see him getting to a fourth round
But
just
actually,
because of his history.
playing Vesely, Quaco, Svaida, or Serundolo.
Nah, I know they're winnable. They're winnable. I just think Cerundolo, I don't know. I think any of those players, I wouldn't even give it 50-50. I would say Goyo's probably the underdog in
Hmm,
most situations. He's a
interesting.
big, he's a big server, but Damien, all I'm thinking about is history. I remember getting quite big on Borna Goyo every time I see him play for his country, and then he just like he
Yeah,
just
I
like
know.
totally goes downhill. So
I
I don't know.
know. At the beginning of the year, I did this sorry, actually at the end of the last year, I did this Twitter thread about players who can break the top 100 in 2023, and I just didn't include Goya because I just felt like he just does so well in United Cup, Davis Cup, and then never backs it up. But this year he actually started backing it up, and he has already played for twice for the top 100. He did improve, I think, his just overall steadiness of the ground, the backhand as well.
Yeah.
I feel like he could easily be among the second week picks just because of how weak Serundolo I think could be potentially. Like,
Hmm.
Serundolo is just such an erratic mess. Like, sometimes he's gonna give you a top 10 performance regardless of the surface, and then at the same time he can play like he did against Galarno in Toronto, for example. Like, that was one of the worst ATP 1000 matches I think I ever watched. And I just feel like he's not a strong enough favorite. And then who else was there? Yeah, Australia Sim McDonald. That kind of says it all.
Yeah.
Goyo, he has like faltered under pressure of getting to the top 100 before, but I think this match against Dalian might already get him there. Like, it's not going to be very clear, I think, by the time he reaches the second round, but it could take the pressure off. I think Goyo easily could have been among my picks as well. I just didn't really notice him.
There, Damien, that's a perfect note to end on. I would like to make it nice and short and sweet. I'm going to round out the list there. And instead of 5, I think I'm just going to say all 8 that we had because that's a lot easier.
Who was
So
the
our
eighth one?
9 picks, actually. It was 9 picks. We had 9 picks. So we had Jakob Mensik, Alex Michelsen, Matteo Berrettini, Dominic Stricker, Milos Raonic, JJ Wolf, Ben Shelton, Borna Goyo, and Max Purcell
Oh,
as
Max Purcell.
those last 2 is kind of maybes. But there you go. That's a pretty good list. They're players that we're not thinking about. They're going to win the title. Just
Mhm.
a little bit of fun early doors.
If one of them makes the fourth round, we are going to be satisfied already.
Exactly, Damien. Right, I'll let you go there, Damien. That was really good fun. Thank you very much for coming on. Please go check out Damien on Twitter at Damian Kust. And if you're on YouTube, give us a like and a subscribe. Thanks very much, guys. We'll catch you next time on the Online Tennis Podcast. Thanks, Damien.
Thank you.